Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Monday, February 7th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you are somebody that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. Before I get to the watch list, I first just want to personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online class that I'm offering next week. So if you're liking what you see as I go through the video and you want to learn more about this tool, how it can be used, how it should be used to build consistency as a trader, then certainly get signed up for the free class. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box. If you're watching on my site, then there's an area right there on the webpage that you can click on to get signed up. So keep that in mind, and if you're liking what you see, then definitely get signed up for the free class. Quickly, a couple clarification points. Number one, the market is still open for a little bit of time, so you're not crazy. That price is still changing, but I like to do these videos when the market's still open for a little bit, just because sometimes we can capture some really nice late day entertaining action live as it's playing out. And then second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame. So for a beginner, all that means is that each one of these candlesticks, as they're called, represents 30 minutes worth of time. So first one here, Snapchat, ticker symbol SNAP. Did this analysis yesterday, and I talked about how, yeah, things had gotten beaten down, but it was such a bizarre situation because it was beaten down because of Facebook. It wasn't because of their own earnings. It was because of somebody else's earnings. And as I alluded, if Snapchat even just shows a hint, like a glimmer of anything halfway good, you got to think that that trend line right there is going to be destroyed. And yeah, not only was it destroyed, it was just obliterated as there's a massive gap up, and then the price kept on going today. So huge volume today. A lot of people, I'm sure, are still going to be watching it next week. So let's map out a couple of the key levels from a support standpoint. So if you're somebody that likes to play more so the pullbacks, then an interesting level right there around that $38 mark from a pullback standpoint. And then as far as next potential battlegrounds are concerned, resistance-wise, got to squeeze things down here a little bit, which is always a good problem to have when you have to go back this far into the charts history. But first key area of resistance, if this current grind continues, going to be right up there at $41.50. And then after that, next one up there right around, let's see, what is that? Well, let's call it $43. So $41.50, $43, next couple of key battlegrounds from the resistance side of things. But no doubt about it, absolutely monster move today. So it'll be interesting to see if this momentum carries into next week. Next one, ANY. I like this price range. I know a lot of viewers trade stocks down in this range. So it's always good when you have a sub $5, sub $10 stock that's got good solid volume on it. And then in this one, a very nice pattern. And what makes a nice pattern is just some really well-defined areas. And when there's well-defined areas, when there's nice patterns, that means a lot of people have noticed the pattern. And when a lot of people have noticed the same pattern, that's what call it whatever you want, but it can definitely produce self-fulfilling prophecies where price movements move just because something is happening that other people believe will happen. And that's what we have here. So I want to be very clear that I'm not trying to make this seem like I have some sort of special skill to be able to draw this line up here at 340. I assure you a bunch of people have drawn that line as a top part of this pattern and resistance area. And they will be wondering next week, okay, if the price can work its way up to that area and get through it, that could create quite a bit of upwards buying pressure. Now, of course, that's not guaranteed to happen, but my point here is it's plausible. It's a logical thought process to have that could happen. So keep an eye on 340. And then from the support side of things, you have that support line right there. In fact, let me change that to green to represent more of a bullish dynamic of things. And then just to map out the pattern here and try to keep it all one color, maybe make it easier to see. So we have, again, the resistance there. We have the support there. We have the momentum move right there. And if we put the golf hole down here, this would be known as a bull pennant pattern. So if you like to play bull pennant patterns, especially in this price range, then I definitely have this one on your watch list. Next one here, AMC, and a very nice move. Now, was it explosive or anything like that? It wasn't, but good, healthy move, especially when you consider just how much momentum had shown up previously. So leveled out here and then started to head back up. And even with going back up, good to see that the price was able to get back above that area of resistance right there, which brings about the first key update, and that's just based on a foundational rule in charting, which states when levels of resistance are broken and closed above, you want to see them act as support. So moving forward, this 15-20-ish area, very important because it's going to help us answer the question of, okay, is this bounce strong? If it is strong, then the price is going to make progress. And thanks, Captain Obvious. But how are you defining progress? Well, it's got to stay above that level because even if it comes down to that area and bounces around, what would that still be giving you? Well, that would still be giving you a set of lows there. You'd have lows down there. And if you envision those as stair steps, you'd still have stair steps progressing in the upwards direction. So that's what I mean by progress. It's got to stay above 1520 because it's not a situation where, if the price starts to go down a little bit, it's game over. No, I'm not willing to say that because the price, as long as it stays above that 1520-ish area, still has the opportunity to show signs of progress. And again, that's what a truly strong bounce is going to do From resistance side of things, as I've talked about before, still all about that purple line there, the 50-period moving average, currently valued at 1585. So yeah, big question mark, big dynamic going into next week. Can AMC show signs of progress? Let's see what happens. Next one, SNDL, penny stock that I know is very popular and had a very, very solid day, not just because the price went up, but because in the nature of it going up, accomplished quite a few things. First, came up, broke through two very key levels. The first one has to do with that red trend line that I drew in previous videos. And then the second happened to be that pink line there, the 200-period moving average. And you can see right here, they both happen to be basically at the same location, but the price didn't care about that, got up to that level, broke up through it, and then just kept on going. So again, it was a strong day for the obvious reason of it was a green day. But, within that, looking deeper into the context, a very powerful day with the way it was able to break through that, kind of double whammy of resistance right there. So I'll go ahead and get rid of that line as it served its purpose for now. As far as levels to watch moving into next week, as far as the key supporters now, keep an eye on that 51-cent mark. So for those of you that like to play pullbacks, that could be a potential opportunity for you. As far as levels of resistance, got to squeeze things down, which, like I said previously, always a good problem to have, with the next key level of resistance to watch next week now being up there at the 55-cent mark. But no doubt about it, very, very powerful way to end the week. Fantastic volume, nice price movement, breaking through big levels of resistance. So let's see if this is all a signal that this momentum will carry into next week. Next one here, Ford, ticker symbol F. Not a good day for this one at all. But what makes this interesting going forward is that the price did show some signs of strength. And this will mean a little bit more to those who have traded for a while. But if you have traded for a while, I'm sure you've seen stocks that gap down. And then after the gap down, they just bleed and bleed and bleed all day long. But that was not the case here. It did have a rough opening 30 minutes, then went sideways, then started to turn back upwards. Now, let me be very clear, and I wish I could say trading was this easy. Just because it got beat down, went sideways, and then started to go back up does not mean that for sure guaranteed this is the bottom. My point here is it's at least it's at least a plausible thought process to have of, okay, maybe just maybe the downwards pressure is gone. Maybe just maybe there's going to be a better size move coming next week, but that all remains to be seen. My core point here is it's at least a valid thought process to have. Whereas if the price was still just going down, 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 and I'm sitting here saying, hey, it's looking like Ford might be at the bottom, you'd be totally justified to say, what are you talking about? Based on what? It's still just going straight down. But that's not the case here. So as far as, the level that stands out to me, let's just see if it can stay above this trend line now. I mean, that trend line is doing a very good job of showing it hasn't been any sort of, necessarily explosive progress, but it has been progress nonetheless. So as long as the price can stay above that trend line right there, that does imply that this current bounce is still bouncing. And that's ultimately what matters most. As far as the main area of resistance to keep an eye on, very curious to see how the price behaves if it gets up around that $18.60 mark. So keep an eye on that. But I think the most telling dynamic moving forward will be that trend line, because again, as crazy as things may get, as long as the price stays above that trend line, that implies the price is put in higher lows, and that's what matters most. Next one here, ticker symbol FB, Facebook, and did this one yesterday after its earnings. But what I'm going to do is scroll this over just so we can see it a little bit better, because that big gap down really makes things harder to see. But there we go. So what I talked about yesterday as a quick recap was I threw that resistance line in play and said, that could be a very interesting dynamic. I mean, if the price can break through there, from a trading standpoint, that could create a nice opportunity. And it took a while because this morning you can see Facebook just bled, but then the price started to bounce, and check that out. Broke that red line and made a very, very nice tradable move. So for anybody that took that trend line break, congratulations to you. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that line as it served its purpose for now. But the big dynamic now goes back to the whole idea of AMC and wanting to show signs of progress. What would this sign of progress be? Well, as I did with the previous chart, let's implement that foundational rule when levels of support are broken. Or excuse me, that should be green. What am I doing here? That was already. Anyways. I don't know. What was that? No, I can't even remember. It's Friday. Clearly, it's Friday. I'm not sure why did I change that to red. Was it already green? I'll have to go back. I'm not even going to try to play it off. I don't remember. I'm not sure what happened there. But anyways, point here being is that it's Friday. Like I said, I'm not going to try to hide anything. I'm not going to try to play it off. I have no idea. But I guess I'm just getting old. But a big point here, nice move happened. So not just like AMC. Is this a truly strong move? Well, let's see if it can make signs of progress. The sign of progress being staying up above that green line there, because as I illustrated for AMC, even if the price came down here and then hovered around that area, I mean, what would you still have? You'd still have a set of lows there. You'd have lows there. You envision those as stair steps, and you'd still have progress being made in the upwards direction. So no doubt about it, very nice breakout occurred. Does this breakout have long-lasting, genuine power behind it? Let's see if it can, like I said, make those signs of progress. As far as areas of resistance are concerned, next key level to watch very closely moving forward, going to be right up there around the 242 mark. But overall, very nice late day breakout of that trend line. So let's see if more continuation shows up next week. Next one here, INDO, and really like this one for the pattern perspective and that whole dynamic of self-fulfilling prophecies. So I assure you, a bunch of people have drawn that trend line. You know, that's not me trying to brag about any sort of skills. A lot of people have drawn that trend line, so you have that self-fulfilling prophecy attribute with it. And then along with that, we have this area of support right down here at the former breakout point at 460. So in order to make this a little bit easier to see, we have our resistance, we have our support, we have our momentum move right there. Let's put our little golf hole down here, and we have ourselves yet another bull pennant pattern. So if you like to play bull pennants down in this price range, I would definitely get INDO on your watch list. Next one, ticker symbol AAPL, which with a very interesting last 30 minutes, and that's why I like to do these when the market's still open. But as I speak, look at this red candle that's forming. Last 30 minutes, I mean, really getting pushed down quite a bit. And where did it get pushed down at? Well, right here at that purple line there, the 50-period moving average. So right there is, without doubt, going to be the main area of resistance headed into next week. So current value of that 50-period moving average right there at 174. So 174, main area of resistance. But my kind of question is, does this last 30 minutes really mean anything? Is this a leading indicator of more momentum to come? Sometimes the final 30 minutes of the week, can just be all crazy. And then on Monday, it's like nothing ever happened. So like I said, yeah, a very rough last 30 minutes here. But I'm not quite sure if that actually means anything moving into next week. So, like I said, I wouldn't go think that you're going to have a terrible weekend or anything like that. But as far as levels of support, definitely a key level to watch. Going to be right here where the price, did bottom out at 170.75. And then you have, from more of an overarching standpoint, that main level down there, that pink line, the very famous 200-period moving average, which is currently valued at 168. But that level is relatively irrelevant right now. But yeah, the level that I'm very curious about, can it get up through that purple line there, which has been very, very rough. And yeah, look at this last 30 minutes, just still coming down. But like I said, I'm kind of skeptical on if it means anything or not. But overall, those are going to be the main levels to watch on Apple. Next one here, RMED, and I'm doing this for a very simple reason. Nothing fancy, just some very basic logic, and you can take it or leave it, do with it as you please. But clearly a nasty, disastrous day, huge gap down. But as I mentioned earlier, after the gap down, it's not like the price bled and bled and bled and bled. No, it gapped down and then just basically went sideways all day. Once again, does that mean it's the bottom? No. But is it at least valid? Is it at least logical? It is, especially then when you compound in. Check out the last 30 minutes. Big surge of volume, very nice green candle. So is this the start of something bigger? Now, it very well may not be, but my point here is what has had to happen for me to be able to answer that question? Well, the price has had to do quite a few different dynamics, including have a very, very impressive final 30 minutes. So is it the start of something bigger? It might not be, but does it make sense to at least ask that question, to at least be keeping an eye on it next week? I think so. So if you like to play these sorts of situations where things get beat down and then start to show some signs of life, and I really want to reiterate, just because something is showing a sign of life doesn't mean it'll ever turn into life. It might just fade out and then just go down. So of course, that's why risk management, as always, matters. But who knows? Maybe this is some sort of leading indicator that this thing is not necessarily going to go back up to $1, but even if it makes it halfway up that far, that could still be a nice trading opportunity. Next one here, TSLA Tesla, and one level that's definitely going to be very watched next week, at least by me, is going to be that 880 mark, because once again, during that opening 30 minutes, price came down here and then bounced right off of it. So I realize that the price is still quite a bit of ways from it, but it is Tesla, so you never quite know. But my point here is that if 880 comes into play at all next week, a lot of people will be watching. As far as the near-term level of support is concerned, and I'm positive I need to change this color line here. But in this situation, based on that rule that when levels of resistance are broken and closed above, you want to see them act as support. So more so in the near term, that key level is going to be right around that 915-ish mark from a support standpoint. If that fails, then yeah, no guarantees. But, a failure of there, could it drift down to 880? Yeah, I think there's a likelihood of that happening. And then as far as levels of resistance are concerned, a couple ways you could look at this. If you want to get a trend line, draw it in place right there. You can see that trend line has been very, very stubborn. Or if you just want to use that 200-period moving average up there, that would work also. I don't think anybody would call you crazy for doing that. But I'm just going to leave both these levels in here because in all actuality, these are both going to be main areas of resistance. So you have that trend line, but even with the trend line break, I'd be a little skeptical because not that far away, you do have that 200-period moving average. But all in all, nice day for Tesla. Like Apple, very rough last 30 minutes, but also like Apple, Am I skeptical? Does that actually really mean anything? I don't know. I don't think so. I think Monday could turn around and it would be like nothing happened. But like I said, I wouldn't let that ruin your weekend just because the last 30 minutes looked a little shaky here. But those are definitely going to be the main levels I'll be watching on Tesla next week. So that wraps up the top 10. Again, if you like what you saw here and you want to learn more about this tool, how it can be used, how it should be used to build consistency as a trader, then certainly get signed up for the free class. Like I said, it'll be next week, Thursday, February 10th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So certainly get signed up. As far as these watch list videos are concerned, if you enjoy these, please help me out with some communication. Hit that like button, leave a simple comment. Let me know what you traded this week. Let me know what you're watching for next week. Give me a smiley face emoji. Just say hi. But hitting the like button, leaving a simple comment, communicate to me that you enjoy these top 10 videos. And as long as I know people are enjoying, I will continue to put in the time and effort, to put them together. So again, if you want to learn more about this tool, how to use it to build consistency as a trader, get signed up for the class. Hit that like button, leave a simple comment below. Everybody take care and have a fantastic weekend.